There are very few roller coasters out there with a ride experience that you just have to experience to believe. The POVs, reactions, and hype surrounding the ride just don't do the ride justice. The Ride to Happiness at Plopsaland de Panne in De Panne, Belgium is one of those rides. This ride is an absolute masterpiece from MACK Rides and the reason to go to Plopsaland de Panne. The Ride to Happiness is one of, if not the best roller coasters in the world and a must ride for any coaster enthusiast. This is our full-length, in-depth review of the Ride to Happiness and our comments about what you can expect when you go to Plopsaland de Panne to ride this immaculate coaster. Now, let's get into the review. The Ride to Happiness is located at Plopsaland de Panne on the northern coast of West Flanders, Belgium. It opened in 2021 as MACK Rides' second ever Xtreme spinning coaster. The Ride to Happiness is the same model as Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City, which opened 3 years prior in 2018. While the Ride to Happiness is the same ride model as Time Traveler, Plopsaland de Panne asked MACK Rides to make one modification to the ride vehicles. Remove the magnet that controlled the spinning of the ride vehicles. This one change, combined with some other key differences, makes the Ride to Happiness a much more insane ride experience. But more on that in a moment. The Ride to Happiness is centrally located in Plopsaland de Panne. It is right in the middle of the park. You can see its purplish brown track from just about anywhere in the park. And the Ride to Happiness setting is stunning. Most of the ride is over water and the park's pathways. To get to the ride from Plopsaland's front entry plaza, you proceed to the left towards some buildings and then left again towards the park's GCI wooden roller coaster, Heidi the Ride. You then take a right towards a steampunk floral-like archway over a bridge into the ride's main plaza. There, you will see a retro futuristic fountain, the ride's station building, and the ride's first inversion. And next to the station on the right is another retro-futuristic steampunk building, which serves as the entrance to the queue. After you enter the queue, you walk through several highly themed switchbacks, which have steampunk-themed images and even some really cool blueprints. As you leave the first queue building, you enter a very well-landscaped queue section before climbing up some stairs, which take you towards the ride platform. As you enter the station, you will see one of the Ride to Happiness's two 8-row 16-passenger trains. For those who have ridden Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City, these are the same trains, and these trains look awesome. And these trains have MACK Rides' second-generation over-the-shoulder lap bar restraints, which are automated and have a verify on each car. These trains are awesome, and the automated lap bar minimizes the chance of getting stapled. In addition to the trains, you will see a floating face and more retro-futuristic steampunk theming. As you wait to board the train, the floating face will talk as the ride operators check the train. She repeats the mantra, "Live today, love tomorrow, unite forever." When you board the train, you wait for the ride operators to activate the automated restraints. After the restraints are secured and you cleared dispatch, you proceed out of the station to start your ride. And depending on the cycle time, you might actually dispatch at the same time as the voice says, "Unite forever." As you dispatch from the station, you immediately go into the Ride to Happiness's first inversion, a JoJo roll. If you have done Hydra the Revenge at Tony Park or Copperhead Strike at Carowinds, this is the same element, which gives a great moment of hang time regardless of where you are sitting on the train. Unlike Copperhead Strike's JoJo roll, the Ride to Happiness's JoJo roll has a slight rightward turn, which takes you into the first launch track. This JoJo roll is the best JoJo roll in the world, primarily because of the free spin you experience with the ride's spinning cars. As you proceed onto the launch track, you pause for a moment before going into the first launch. And this launch is actually quite good. It has significantly more power than a typical MACK Rides launch, like the one on Copperhead Strike. As you go down the launch track, you experience a powerful acceleration, which will send the already spinning cars into a wilder spin. You then go up onto a top hat, which gives a great pop of ejector airtime for those sitting towards the front of the train, followed by a rightward banked left-hand turn into the Ride to Happiness's main drop. This drop is absolutely insane, especially for those sitting in the back car. You get yanked down this drop, which sends you flying out of your seat. This drop might actually be one of the best drops on any roller coaster if you happen to take this drop completely backwards. The airtime you get is incredible since it is 90 degrees. After this main drop, you are simply along for the ride. You genuinely have no idea where you are going or where you just came from. You then climb up into the Ride to Happiness's banana roll, followed by a vertical loop. Depending on how balanced your car is, you may take these two elements either with some control or completely out of control. You also might take the vertical loop sideways or completely backwards, two experiences that feel completely insane since very few roller coasters, if any, offer similar experiences. As you come out of the vertical loop, the train flies through a 0G roll, which has some good whip to it. And because of the spinning cars though, you might experience a front flip or back flip or start inverted and end right side up. As you come out of the 0G roll, you dive into a rightward bank turn, followed by an S-turn that whips you from right to left. Depending on which way you are facing, you might experience a good pop of airtime. You then fly over the Ride to Happiness's second launch track, which gives a good burst of acceleration. The launch track also has an airtime hill in the middle of it, and this airtime hill is awesome. It gives you a strong pop of ejector airtime regardless of where you're sitting. And it is something else if you take it sideways or completely backwards. This second launch sends you up into the Ride to Happiness's most unique element, a 0G roll, followed by a twisted dive downwards. The closest thing to this element is the flying snake dive on Storm Runner at Hershey Park, which has a similar profiling. Only this element on the Ride to Happiness is much more insane. As the train goes through this element, you might experience a front flip, a back flip, or even a barrel roll. As you enter the dive downwards, you might even get some good whip and subtle airtime. You then fly up into an airtime hill, which banks towards the left at the top, followed by a leftward overbank turn up into a double up finale. These two airtime hills give great pops of ejector airtime and are simply amazing if taken completely backwards. You go over the second airtime hill up into the final brake run, thus completing your ride. The Ride to Happiness is a perfect roller coaster. It has a great theme, amazing pacing, strong launches, and a unique ride experience. The custom onboard soundtrack enhances the ride experience, which helps make the ride truly one of a kind. Aside from the theming, the Ride to Happiness is simply one roller coaster where you never know what type of ride experience you are going to get. You may launch up the top hat, facing completely forwards, completely backwards, or even sideways. This varied ride experience makes the airtime you experience much more different than a traditional frontward facing climb up onto a top hat. And while the main drop is awesome in general, it is incredible when taken either backwards or sideways. When it comes to airtime, the Ride to Happiness has some great moments. The S-Hill gives a great pop of weak to good ejector airtime depending on which direction your car is facing, and the left-hand turn off the airtime hill after the flying snake barrel roll dive is quite good. The standout airtime moment, though, has to be the final double up into the final brake run when taken completely backwards. That strong ejector airtime backwards is incredible, especially since you might not see it coming. And while its ride experience is crazy even as a morning ride, the Ride to Happiness becomes even wilder as it warms up and towards the end of the day. And a ride with an off-balance car later in the day is excellent. You genuinely have no idea which way is up. And because you never know what type of ride you are going to get, the Ride to Happiness is incredibly re-rideable. One thing that stands out about the Ride to Happiness is that it is an intense ride. The launches are powerful and the inversions combined with the spinning seats make for one disorienting ride. While the Ride to Happiness can be disorienting, the spinning does not take at all away from the ride's re-rideability. Once you have ridden it once, you will want to get right back in line to ride it again. And while the back seat is the best, we strongly encourage riding the Ride to Happiness in different rows and cars. The ride experience is genuinely different depending on where you sit. You might even find yourself returning to the station facing a different direction from the one you were facing when you first boarded the train. And the Ride to Happiness is an incredibly smooth ride. It glides through its layout, which only enhances the overall ride experience. There really is nothing else like the Ride to Happiness. Overall, the Ride to Happiness is a masterpiece from MACK Rides. It does it all. Strong launches, great airtime, fun inversions, a beautiful setting, incredible theming, and one of the most insane ride experiences in the world. This coaster lives up to the hype and is worth the trip to Plopsaland de Panne alone. MACK Rides and Plopsaland hit a grand slam with this phenomenal roller coaster. For our final score, of course, we give the Ride to Happiness a 10 out of 10. This coaster is a must ride and a ride that you cannot help but smile on. So, let us know in the comments below if you have ridden the Ride to Happiness, and if so, what you think about it. And if you enjoyed this video or are new to the channel, please like and subscribe for more coaster content like this. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more coaster reviews and amusement park content coming soon to Coaster Adventures, and we hope to see you in the next one.